Whatever.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Kaiser City Council regular session meeting Monday, August 19th, 7 p.m. to order. Tracy, roll call, please.
Councilor Herrera.
Here.
Councilor Parsons.
Here.
Councilor Smith.
She's excused.
Council President Freeman.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
She's excused.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
And Council Cole.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you. Please join me with the standing with the flag salute if you're able. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do not have any special orders of business tonight unless the council has any that I'm not aware of. None? Okay. We will move on to committee reports. I do have one person signed up for a committee report tonight, and Matt Lawyer, please join us for the planning and parks.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and councilors and staff. Matt Lawyer for the record, Planning Commission and Parks Advisory Board. I'm going to go through the easy one first, which is the Nate took 2 seconds, so I get 10 more. Just kidding. So I'll go through parks real quick, just because it's a little bit quicker. If I can actually get my notes to come up, which I can't because I'm technologically illiterate right now. Okay, so the Parks Board met on the 13th, and we had a pretty quick meeting for the most part. We had public testimony by Peggy and Jerry, our favorite coordinators for the Peggy and Jerry Moore Garden over here near the skate park. We awarded our first youth grant to a young man by the name of Spencer Millis. He's going to be doing a project down at Kaiser Rapids for some storage, and he's going to be getting a youth grant for about $300. And to remind the council, the way that functions is staff will actually buy the stuff that he needs to complete the project. So we're really excited. We took a little departure from our norm. Mr. Millis was not in attendance, but because we had seen his project multiple times and we already knew the substance of his grant application, we went ahead and went with it. We had a second application that we did not consider because the applicant had not presented and was not in attendance at the time. Aside from that, we talked about our upcoming favorite meeting with the City Council, which is our annual parks visit. This year, the recommendation is go to Claggett, Northview, to the Little League fields, and then to Bob Newton. Specifically look at some of the projects done with like the sports court at Claggett, but some of the other work that's been done there with the paths and the new striping, which I'm going to segue just a second here. We had a group a number of months ago come in and talk to us about playing futsal, which is a different, smaller, condensed version of football, or excuse me, well, football in the rest of the world, soccer here. And they actually went out and held one of their first matches this couple Saturdays ago. And they met out there at 10. I went and visited about 10:50, and it was, a bunch of guys out there between, 19 and their mid-40s out there playing this game and just having a blast. And it was nice that Kaiser has been so accommodating for them. We actually striped the basketball court specifically for that. When our neighbors to the south rejected them and said, we don't want you playing in our parks because you're going to cause problems. So Kaiser's awesome. Write that down. So we're really happy with that. And they're looking at possible striping of futsal opportunities at their courts as we kind of move through the process. So we are excited about the parks tour, which will happen September 9th. We will meet at Claggett, and I think Debbie's going to send out information for that. So I think the plan is Claggett and then Northview, from Northview to Little League, and then Little League to Bob Newton to kind of wrap up. So aside from that, there wasn't a lot of discussion at the parks meeting. Like I said, it was a fairly quick meeting. The next thing specifically of note will be the Kaiser Little League Long Range Planning Task Force, which will meet on September 5th. There's an expectation to get some work done there, still organizing with the two organizations and seeing how that's going to roll. But that's it for Parks unless there's any additional questions. Okay. So Planning Commission, we met on August 14th, and the course of the meeting was to look at the proposed text amendment changes to the Comprehensive Plan and Kaiser Development Code, along with proposed zone changes to the commercial designated parcels to the mixed use as part of the proposed Kaiser revitalization plan. I think Nate probably wrote that. Anyways, we had a presentation by our consultants and staff, and we went over essentially the river and cherry overlay zone and the different nodes specifically associated with those. Dove into a myriad of areas related to the proposed overlay and a lot of the recommendations as such. And I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail on that, but ultimately we did get some public testimony. I think there was, let's see, there's about a half a dozen people that testified. A couple actually were not Salem or Kaiser residents, but had some had some planning knowledge and wanted to talk about sort of regional issues, specifically as related to some transportation across streets and things of that nature. And then we had some discussion from transportation perspective in terms of transit and things of that nature. But ultimately, the commission made is forwarding a recommendation to. I apologize. I lost my. Okay, so the motion was to forward a recommendation to City Council to adopt the current Kaiser revitalization plan and associated text amendments as presented by the consultants. So I expect that you'll probably be hearing something from Nate and Shane on that moving forward. Of note was one issue that I brought up to the planning department, and that was specifically as related to the city's use of social media. It was very void in this particular meeting. In the past, I think the city did a little bit better job of communicating out the needs and opportunities for the public to come in and talk on this. I did email Shane on it on Wednesday, and he did in turn reply and get it put up on social media, but it was the day of, so a little bit late. And so the only thing that I encourage generally is the use of that. I know that we have legal minimums and things as it relates to public meeting laws and notifications via Measure 56, but anytime we can utilize our resources is always a good thing. So Shane very much welcomed that opinion, and I think that moving forward, we're going to see continued excellence from our city staff. So unless there's anything else.
Questions? Comments for Matt? Huh? Perfect. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
Would also like just to recognize Colleen Bush in the audience, member of the Salem Kaiser Transit Chariots. So thank you for joining us, and everyone else that's in the lobby this evening. So tonight, right now, it's time for public testimony. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We do have one public hearing tonight, and is the authorization for supplemental budget, general fund, community development. So if anyone would like to address the council on public testimony other than what our open public hearing is, please come on down.
Don't all run.
I know, lots of conversation out there, but no one is like running down, so. I know, no. Perfect, okay. Hearing none, we will move on. Our public hearing tonight, we need to open the public hearing. City manager. Get there, there we go.
Come on. Give me 1 second to get oriented here. Oops, there I am. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tim. Sorry. That was, right.
City Council.
Sorry.
I apologize for bringing a back-to-back budget adjustment. We had several last meeting. This one kind of snuck up on us a little bit. This corresponds to consent calendar item A, which is a resolution to enter into an agreement with the state of Oregon for Kaiser Growth Transportation Impact Study. This is the corresponding supplemental budget to agree to that. What we're doing tonight is we're recognizing and appropriating $190,000 for this study. The study is estimated to cost about $190,000. The state will likely be reimbursing us about $170,000. For convenience sake, we've made the budget adjustment $190,000 for both the revenues and the expenditures. And with that, I'll address any questions.
Questions for Tim? Counselor Reed?
Thank you. I just had one question. So are we likely to get reimbursed in this fiscal year, or is that going to impact the budget significantly as we go into next year?
This will be for fiscal year 1920, so this current year that we're in.
So that we will be reimbursed by the time this
That
fiscal
is
year is
correct.
over?
This is on a reimbursement basis. So we'll be fronting the costs, and the state will be reimbursing us after the fact.
Okay,
And yes, it
before
is
next fiscal
my understanding it will be this fiscal year,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Other questions of staff? None? Okay. At this time, I do not have anyone signed up for public testimony. Anyone would like to speak on this issue? Hearing and seeing none? Close it, right? Close. Public hearing is closed. Councilor Herrera?
I move that the Kaiser City Council approve resolution R2019, authorization for supplemental budget.
Oh, second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2019, authorization for supplemental budget, general fund, community development. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 5 yes, 2 absent. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to administrative action. Item 8A is a waiver of the community center rental fee for Kaiser Chamber Foundation event. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. On June 17th, 2019, the request for a community center rental fee waiver was presented to the City Council, and at that meeting, the City Council discussed the request and the potential benefit of the training to city committee members and nonprofits. Mayor Clark directed Councilor Herrera to check with the chair of Kaiser United to see if funding this event could be through a partnership of the two entities. It is staff's understanding that Kaiser United believes this training is helpful and that it is a benefit to the Kaiser community. This matter is back before the City Council for discussion and direction to staff. Kaiser Chamber Foundation is a 501c3 organization who works in conjunction with Kaiser Chamber of Commerce. Kaiser Chamber Foundation is asking for a waiver of the room rental fee and the security cleaning deposit for this event. The room rental fee for the use of the room for this event will be $450 with a refundable security deposit of $750. The rental fee is based on 6 hours of use. Staffing costs are included in the room rental fee as outlined in the City of Kaiser Resolution 2018-2932. The City Council may reduce or waive rates, deposits, or other costs for certain uses if in the council's sole discretion, the use is a significant benefit to the Kaiser community, considering such factors as the city's fixed and non-fixed costs, staff resources, wear and tear on the facility, and other factors deemed appropriate by the council. City Council does not have the ability to waive the requirement for proof of general liability insurance, just as a reminder. You have 4 options available to you as we see it. You can grant the request, you can deny the request, you can waive security and cleaning deposit but charge the room rental fee of $450, which would include staffing, or you could waive the room rental fee and security and cleaning deposit and just charge for the staffing, which would be $120. In 2018, City Council approved a waiver of the rental fee and the security cleaning deposit for this event, but charged for the event staffing and required a certificate of general liability insurance. Staff recommends City Council discuss the request, consider the options presented, and then direct staff accordingly. Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Any questions for staff? Councilor Herrera?
I just wanted a little clarification, a little bit on the good and of this particular training, and I think there is beneficial to a lot of the folks on Kaiser United, which benefits the community. I don't know that it applies so well to our committees, per se, that particular training, but I think that what we did last year was appropriate for what it's doing, and I really believe, after talking to some of the Kaiser United folks, that in general it is a good thing for our community to get that kind of training, because some of the folks on the Kaiser United board are in other boards, not so much our committees, but those particular people who live in Kaiser. So I like, is that the waiver 4? Option 4 will be the same as last year, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I would make that motion when ready.
Yeah, you're up.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion, to make a long story short and get to the point. I move that we choose option 4 and waive the room rental fee and security cleaning deposit, but charge the $120 for the staffing costs.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? I would just like to add that Oregon Community Foundation will be partnering with the Kaiser Chamber Foundation, and this is a very prominent foundation within the state of Oregon, and I think it lends credibility to the foundation and their work that they have done with the Oregon Community Foundation to have them come to our city and train our nonprofit board members. So I would hope that everyone will promote this event and will show them that Kaiser means business for our nonprofits. So that was my discussion. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B is, get to my scrolling here. Ordinance. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. City Attorney.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This item came before the Council at July 15 meeting with regard to ordinance changing Kaiser Development Code to revise some of the urban transition language. So that ordinance is attached for your review. Recommendation is to adopt the attached ordinance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Questions for staff? Councilor Herrera?
I move the City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance amending Kaiser Development Code regarding Section 2.118, Urban Transitions, amending Ordinance 98389.
Second.
Discussion? It has been moved to adopt a bill for an ordinance amending Kaiser Development Code regarding Section 2.118 Urban Transition, amending Ordinance 98-389. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. As for administrative action item number C, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Another land use ordinance. This was based on the public hearing and council discussion at the August 5th meeting, in which council directed staff to prepare an ordinance approving Kaiser Development Code text changes in the Activity Center overlay zone. This amendment adds auto and home supply stores and automotive services except repair to the allowed flexible space uses in the IBP, or Industrial Business Park Zone, Kaiser Station. So we have prepared such ordinance for your consideration. The recommendation is to adopt the ordinance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any reason why we couldn't just amend that so that it just said to what they asked for and not the additional things that were listed?
We can do so.
Would it make any difference?
It could make a difference. This does apply in Area A, IBP, correct?
Area
there's some IPP and,
There's some, yes, the Area A Sports and Activity Center.
right. So it could make a difference there. It could make a difference theoretically in the future on the Area D property, although right now their anticipation is to do what they said they were going to do. That could change, and consequently, there may be a use that is allowed under this language that would not be allowed if you tightened the language and then they came back and changed their master plan, which they would have the right to do. So, it's up to council if you want to limit the uses. That was one of the items discussed at the public hearing that Nate brought up, and council did not choose to limit that. We can certainly go back and limit that. I would prefer to not do that on the fly, though, and I don't have it in front of me. So if the council wishes to do that, we can bring that back next meeting and limit it to more or less the uses that they were suggesting. It's up to you folks.
Thank you.
Further questions? No? Councilor Herrera?
Yeah, I'd make a motion, City Council adapt the bill for an ordinance amending Kaiser Development Code regarding Section 2.125, Activity Center Overlay Zone, amending Ordinance 98-389.
Second.
Change is hard up here, but it's good. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance amending Kaiser Development Code regarding Section 2.125 Activity Center Overlay Zone, amending Ordinance 98-389. Discussion. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I do have some reservations, but I won't fight that today. Thanks.
Thank you. Further, other? Councilor Reed?
Oh, I'm just curious as to what your thinking is, Councilor Kohler, as far as how you think this could be improved?
They're asking for some, they're not asking for some things, but we put some things in the ordinance that we don't have to be there, and I think it just could be a problem in the future.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Councilor
I
Herrera?
hate to keep going. Just out of curiosity, give me like an example. I'm trying to think of.
Well, what are the list of some of the things that they said that they would like to put in there? Are any of those things concerns to you?
We've got,
Frankly, not really.
Okay.
okay. Mr. Brown?
I was just going to clarify. What they specifically asked for was the tires. There's one category called tire, battery, and accessories. That's just as it describes. They also wanted the car wash, and they wanted the quick lube aspect. So those basically fall into two separate SIC, that's Standard Industrial Classification categories. Those categories also include things like truck service, wrecking service, truck washes, and those kinds of things, which if we just adopt the entire SIC category, those things would also be allowed. And so I think that those were the kinds of things that got grouped into just adopting those two SIC codes. Would be other things that are like the wrecking service. It's not a junkyard, but it is certainly a tow truck service yard. And trying to remember one of the air conditioning service. So a lot more automobile service kinds of things besides just the tire, battery, and accessory, and the quick lube. So,
Question for you, Nate, if I may. As development director, do you see a problem with that, or is it just part of the concerns? Something, because I picture a bad part of, something, and I don't. That's not the connotation, in my view. But we'll see. What are your points?
well, my concern is that the original intent of establishing that industrial business park with a minor allowance for flexible space uses the original intent was those flexible space uses would be to provide support for the industrial business park. But if we turn it into a truck stop, like we have at the Brooks interchange, that it doesn't, in my mind, does not seem to be consistent with that kind of intent to establish that industrial business park. So that's my only reservation. Now, the council has already decided to have the service station. I mean, that was already a decision a long time ago. And that service station could run, they can sell tires, they can sell batteries, and they can do all that under one roof. They can't do it, though, as a major standalone business.
Without this change.
Without this change, right, currently. And so that's my only concern, is that we pay attention to what the intent of establishing that. And the council, this is council's decision, and certainly we follow the council's decision. That's my only concern, is that we be a little careful and a little cautious about making sure that we just don't simply and throw it open to all auto-oriented kinds of uses, which this kind of would do without putting further restrictions.
Councillor Parsons?
So it was my assumption when we were talking to them, they already had almost those leases signed of businesses they want. So if they wanted more, they would have asked for more, in my opinion. So in a way, I agree with certain things that Councillor Kohler has said, that we just give them what they ask for, perhaps, because I think they already have nailed down the businesses they're going to put there.
Well, in my conversations with them, I think they are very close to an agreement with one of those businesses, but that business is not under question from these changes.
Additional questions? Okay, do we need the motion restated? Are we good? It is how it was presented, but I just want to make sure we're okay. Okay, as presented. Okay. No more further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8D on administrative action is another resolution authorizing the mayor to send a letter. There's lots of attachments here. Oops, went too far. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As most of you know, and I think Mayor Clark had brought up this issue with regard to the letter from Polk County that I referenced in the staff report, Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT, had some conversations with the city and some correspondence with regard to the third bridge in Salem's vote to not address issues raised in the Land Use Board of Appeals remand, thereby basically killing the project. Polk County Board of Commissioners sent a letter to ODOT indicating they do not accept the outcome of the no-build alternative. And the mayor is requesting council adopt an ordinance authorizing her to sign the attached letter to the resolution indicating more or less the same thing, that the Kaiser does not support the no-build alternative. So the matter is before council for consideration on whether to authorize the mayor to send the enclosed letter. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any further questions for staff? So there is a Scribner error on the letter to Mr. Chickering, if I'm saying that correctly. It's in the second paragraph, and it's this sentence that says the data continue to show. I believe it should say the data continues to show us on a daily basis that the no-build alternative does not reflect the current or future needs of our region.
Continues, plural.
Data is plural.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's right
I
as
think
written?
it's right as written.
The data continue?
Data is plural. It's like saying mothers-in-law.
Wow, okay.
The data continue or continues?
The data continue or the data
continue.
continues to show?
The data continue.
Okay.
If you said the datum, it would be continuous.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I chatted with the mayor and she agreed with me too, so, but I'm good. If you're all agreeing, I'm good.
I like data.
Data, okay, that was all it's perfect. Further discussion from staff? Councilor Herrera.
I move City Council, Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R219, authorizing mayor sending letter not supporting no-build alternative for Salem River Crossing project.
Second.
Discussion? It's been moved and seconded that Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2019, authorizing mayor to send letter not supporting no-build alternative for Salem River Crossing project. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last item of administrative action, item 8E, surplus property report. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Wood.
City Council, the city ordinance number 2008-579 requires that we provide a listing to you of all of the items that we've disposed of during the previous fiscal year. This is said list, has some interesting things, coffee makers, cars, and laptops, and all kinds of fun stuff. So this report is for information purposes only. No action is required. If you have any questions, I'll feel free to address them.
So I just have a question. So we list several, is it ASUS laptops, but we list them all separately? Is it because they're different cases and we don't lump them all together?
That is correct. They were
Okay.
they were different transactions.
Okay, I figured so, but I just thought I would seek clarification. Councilor Reed?
Just to clarify on item 8, the police unclaimed personal property, those are things that have been confiscated from, by police and not claimed?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. I'm just wondering, the baseball cards is on there, and I was just thinking, okay,
I
what?
know.
Okay.
I kind of wish I got to look through them first, but they don't ask me.
They never do.
I think next year we actually have action figures, so it's going to be an awesome report next year.
All right. Good deal.
Any other questions for staff?
It's more fun when we actually surplus a living animal like a dog, which we've done a couple of times. So. Okay.
Wow, okay, and no action is required?
No action is required.
Okay, perfect.
Information only. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to the consent calendar. Councilor Herrera, would you like to read the consent calendar, please?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to have to hold my finger. We have on the consent calendar A, B, C, D. How many items? 8? Yeah, look like 8 or 9. Okay. Resolution A would be a resolution authorizing Community Development Director to sign local agency agreement with State of Oregon for Kaiser Growth Transportation Impact Study. And B, authorizing city manager and city attorney to sign settlement agreement and stipulated judgment in the Bauer City of Kaiser versus Davis Northwest Rock litigation, repeal of resolution R2019-3011. And then C, authorizing the city manager to enter Oregon Department of Transportation Local Agency Certification Program Supplemental Project Agreement for fiber optic interconnection, River Road, Shangri-La Avenue to Wheatland Road. D, authorizing the city manager to enter into intergovernmental agreement with Kaiser Fire District for collection of fire and life and safety inspection fees. E, authorizing the city manager to enter into amendment number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with Marion County for the coordination of permit assurance, insurance, and inspections regulated by the State of Oregon building codes. F, resolution authorizing the finance director to sign service agreement with T-Tech. G, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase two 2020 K8A AWD, police and utility vehicles, that's what they are. And 2020 POG, is that right, POG? Fusion SFWD vehicle for police department. H, authorizing the city manager to sign proposal with Thomas K. Flooring for the community center carpet replacement. Nice. And I, approval of August 5th, 2019 City Council regular session minutes. That is all. Any polls?
Okay. Any polls? Counselor Parsons?
Yes, I'd like to pull D and E, please.
Okay. Any other polls?
Second?
I don't know that he made a motion yet.
Oh. Sorry.
I just want to make sure there's no other polls. None? Okay.
Okay, let's see if we can get all these.
you just have to do it now.
I would like to make a, propose the city council approve resolution A through C and F through I.
Second?
There we go. Okay. It's been moved and seconded that Kaiser City Council approve the consent calendar A through C and F through I. Discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Counselor Parsons?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Shannon, I would like to get some further information on this and maybe explain a little bit of why this came to us in the beginning. Could you kind of explain that a little bit for me, please?
Sure, and Chris may want to weigh in because he and I have discussed this issue. The fire district approached us several months ago indicating they had passed an ordinance to impose a 6% fee based on the building permit base fee. So in other words, if a building permit was $1,000, the permit would be what, $60? Help me out here. Is that right?
Yes.
In any event, based on the base building fee, when you have a building inspection fee, there's some other surcharges added on. And so the first thing I had to do is clarify, you mean on the base fee, not on the total fee. So that's on the building permit side. And then on the land use issue, that was the other thing I had to spend some time confirming with them, not on all land use applications, but only on subdivision partitions, because they do weigh in at pre-application time with regard to comments for placement of fire hydrants and that sort of thing. And so they had passed that ordinance and they requested, I think Chief Cowan through the city manager requested that we consider entering into an intergovernmental agreement or IGA to collect it. And that's something that we do with City of Salem with regard to Salem SDCs. We used to make people go downtown Salem to pay the sewer, because back up, system development charges for sewer are split between Kaiser system development charges for sewer and Salem's treatment SDCs. We used to make them go down to Salem and pay it. And of course, we used to make people go down to Marion County to pay for their building permits too. And over the years, we've tried to make it easier for customers. And so the Salem one, as well as the building inspection fee for quite some time now, are paid at our counter. And of course, after a lot of discussion here, because it is a little extra work, and Tim may want to weigh in too, other than the startup time here, getting it set up, it really isn't a lot of work. And so we told them that we want a 5% retainage for our administrative time, so we would keep 5% of their 6% fee to reimburse the city for staff time. But there wasn't really a huge burden on us, and it was a courtesy to our customers and easier for our customers. So Chris directed that we move forward with it, and after a long time, both on our end and on their end, making some changes that I related to earlier, we kind of got to this position. So that's where we're at, and that's what the Kaiser Fire District is asking us to do. So this language reflects what we had discussed. So.
Yeah, just sort of joining in on that. The real point here is not whether you like the fee or not, because they, being a separate governmental entity, have the right to enact their own fees, and they have done so. So the fee is going to be charged. It really then came down to a matter of what was easiest for our customers. Send them to several different places to pay different fees, or just collect it here and remit it, so that they only had to make one stop, and that's where we landed, because we want to be as customer friendly as possible. So it's not a statement of whether we appreciate or like the fee they're charging, it's the impact to the customers.
I didn't have a trouble with a fee. What I had trouble with was them coming to us and saying, you guys need to do it, instead of, maybe answering some of our questions of, why would you pass an ordinance without asking us first, number one? Number two, why do we need to do that versus you doing it? Have you not done it before? Have you always been free before? So if they've always been free before and now they're charging, that's kind of disservice to our customers too. So now, this is only new customers though, correct, Shannon? And it's commercial?
Yes, and if I may, thank you, Councilor Parsons, I wanted to add that. This is only commercial, which, again, I had to kind of fix because it wasn't clear what it meant. And so it really means everything that's non-residential. So anything except single-family and duplexes, there would be a charge, but they're not going to charge for building permit on a single-family house or a duplex. Apartment complex, they would. Commercial development, they would. And at 6%, given how much commercial development area is left, that's the other thing I was going to comment on. I mean, there's no way for us to calculate it, but staff felt that the amount of money they're talking about is pretty minimal. There's just not going to be, number one, the fee itself is fairly minimal. Number two, there's not a lot of ground to develop left. So we felt, well, as Chris said, they'd imposed the fees. The only question is it going to be easier for our customers to pay it at our counter? And that's why staff decided to go ahead and go forward with it.
Okay, I'm okay with that, thank you.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. As I looked at that and calculated things, where the city is looking to add dozens of dollars to our
Dozens, yes.
our pockets for that.
It's one of our favorite sayings, at least mine anyway, here. Dozens of dollars.
Not talking about a whole bunch.
Do we need to talk about E at the same time?
Well, we can, and we were going to pull that anyway, regardless, as I mentioned to Mayor Pro Tem Freeman. We had a very small language change and we were not, because we didn't have the document actually. We don't like to change somebody else's document, especially once it was signed. But Nate and Bill have been working on this minor language change, and Nate checked with the county, and the county's okay with this minor language change. And let me turn to my little sticky tab. On the IGA with Marion County now, just past the middle of it, it has a sentence that reads, add a new item that reads, the county shall inspect footing/foundation wall elevations relative to the adjacent street level using a handheld site level when corresponding elevations are noted and identified in the approved site plan. And Mr. Lawyer indicated late last week after the packet went out, yeah, that's not exactly how they should do it because in certain circumstances we don't have a street next to it. So the request would be to amend and delete the words relative to the adjacent street level and replace it with from the front lot corner elevation. That's exactly how they did it.
Front lot?
No, yeah. So, and I talked to Bill. Sorry, I forgot to talk to Nate after he came in and I talked to Bill. I apologize. The language between the county and Nate was not quite exact, but it's okay. So, and so I'll just read that again, and you can just say as amended, since this is a resolution, by the way, just for some of the new counselors. If it's a resolution, you can just say as amended. If it's an ordinance, you have to read the exact language. So the word relative to the adjacent street level is deleted and replaced with from the front lot corner elevation.
Right here, okay.
Since I was the one that had the conversation between the two, I'm talking about with Marion County, I think, well, I'm thinking that his response to mine, my email to him included the word relative to. He left out the word relative in his response. But the conversation that we had on the phone was relative to. In other words,
This is like truck routes. Let's move along.
So we don't like relatives. He doesn't like any.
I really don't want to turn this into the truck route thing. It's just simply a matter of reference, and so we'll make it work. Obviously, the intent is there that it's the front lot elevation, the front lot corner elevation that we're talking about. So whether the word relative is there or not, I don't think this is something.
Unnecessary.
I don't think this is something to. Wait,
As
what?
amended or not? That's all they want to know.
I think the word relative makes it a little clearer, but certainly the intent is there either way. So,
If I may weigh in on this, because this is all very relevant to the lot grading plan that we approved through the subdivision approval process, the public improvements and the subdivision process. And so honestly, as we sit here and talk about this, putting the word relative in there may help clear that up in the future when somebody else doesn't really know what they're talking about, doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing. And they're going to inspect and establish the finished floor elevation of the house to the lot corner. Well, anyway, I think the word relative is better put in than left out.
Thank you.
If I may, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So this has to do with the lawyer reading the exact quote, and that's the quote from the county. So, but, it doesn't matter, so I will just read it again. So if you want to add the word relative, it would be leaving the words relative to in, and just taking out the adjacent street level and putting in relative to, and it'd be the front lot corner, correct? Elevation?
Yes.
So, if you wish to go with that language, then you just say as amended and we're done.
Okay. Lieutenant Copeland, did you want to chime in? Okay, everybody ready?
Councilor Herrera.
Okay, I'm going to make an amendment that I propose that the City Council adapt Resolution D, authorizing the city manager to, pardon?
You don't have to
Okay, D, and then E as amended, and I don't have to read it, correct?
Correct.
E is amended with the relative, relevant, whatever you want to throw in there, but as amended, okay?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor by approving the consent calendars item D and E as amended? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Amen.
Whew, we made it through that consent calendar process.
Sometimes
Perfect.
we say relevant.
Perfect. We'll move on to council liaison reports. Councilor Herrera.
Okay, here we go. We had a kind of a sort of semi-busy week, but I met with our executive committee with the Strong Families and Resilient Neighborhoods, and we had that great, after a great event, we follow up. We're getting ready to, if you haven't got a phone call yet, you will get one because it's time for action. And I'm going to be deeply involved in that, so it's going to take a lot of my schedule. I want to thank Mayor Clark for covering for me in the Parks meeting while I was up in the Alpine Roads doing our yearly, they extended my hours again, but we participate every year, my 30th year with the Little League World Series of softball in Portland we hosted. And I got to tell you, with all the stuff going on in the world, watching kids from all over the world working together up there and having a great time, I mean, anybody who has a kid, take it up there and check it out. It's amazing. And it's very nice deal. My wife and I both participate. We also had, I have a Beacons meeting with the school board. And the Beacons, as you guys know, we're trying to raise enough money so any kid in our 5 area high schools that want to play sport will be covered financially. So, and we also want to recognize those in the community with each school every year that have achieved something in the athletic department or something good of a school. And every year picks what we call them Beacons. And that's really good stuff. So getting ready for my trip to game day. But I want to say kudos to our Sprague neighbor baseball team, a little boy, speaking of Little League boy, they gave New Jersey a run for their money and lost. And New Jersey probably end up winning it. But I mean, if you're into little youth sports, that's stuff to watch. Great stuff. So, and I also want to thank, the volunteers with Little League in general, because we represent District 7. That's kind of our Kaiser's, our district in Little League. And the volunteers, like the Taveras, have been doing this for a long time. They're amazing. So kudos to those guys. That's all for me.
Thank you. Councilor Parsons?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I attended the Kaiser Chamber Board meeting. Great discussions going on. They got a Percy event coming up, which is a fundraiser It's on September 19th, I believe, and they raise money for the community giving gift baskets, I think, for Christmas time. So that's a good event to attend. Also, we had a community conversation that same night on the Kaiserfest and location. Due to the fact that it was on the same night as the Planning Commission, we didn't have as much attendance, but those in attendance had some great ideas, so it actually went really well. I didn't get to attend the volunteer coordinating committees. I was sick, so I'll let Councilor Freeman talk about that. We had the host family appreciation night at the Volcanoes. That's always a good thing. They're always looking for host families. First year that I've done it, and it's fantastic. I wish I'd have done it earlier. I had a great kid this year. You call them the summer sons. So it was very nice. On the 26th is the teacher appreciation. Thanks to Counselor Laura Reed, who's a teacher. This is their thanks. It's on the 26th at Willow Lake. So just if you need to register, you need to go online and get registered because this is one of the biggest luncheons they have of the year. So it'll be pretty crowded. Also, there's an event that actually Elizabeth Smith is having at Willow Lake Golf Center on the 28th. It's a fundraiser for back to school night. Bring any 10 school items to the event at 4 p.m. And you get a bucket of balls. And I think they also have a lot of other things going on. So write that down if you wish to attend on something like that. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify, the teachers event is through the chamber, so sign up through the chamber?
Yes, sign up through the chamber, yes. And it's a free event. It's hosted by Northwest Natural, so there's no cost.
Great. So invite all the teachers to attend. Perfect. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So I attended the Stormwater Advisory Committee meeting, and at that meeting, we were presented with the public education plan part of our new permit, and that was a really great plan because it's based on a lot of what we already do and just really making sure that the public understands what is involved in this highly technical area that they might not otherwise think about. So I appreciated that public education plan and the various perspectives that were addressed at that. The neighborhood night out was a giant success. That was a lot of fun, and thank you very much to the police department who it was so fun to get to know the officers in that particular context. And of course, Dorothy Deal did a tremendous job organizing all that and just really enjoyed that. So that was a huge success. So school is starting very shortly after Labor Day. So we have that community adjustment to make, and hopefully all our various construction will be at least cleaned up enough, both within the schools and on the streets, to be able to accommodate that, and I'm sure that they will be. So that's basically all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First thing I did is I attended the Kaiser Community Dinner. What night was that? Anyway, we had, to date, 9,300 people have been fed since we started all that. So I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you to all the people that make that happen. I also attended the Stormwater Advisory Committee meeting. A lot of information that was there that was new and exciting and interesting. Interesting to say the least. I also attended the Neighborhood Night Out. Thank you for getting that all put together and coordinating that. Dorothy was a big player, I think, in making that happen, and all the little giveaways was a lot of fun. So it was good. I attended the Latino Business Alliance meeting, and there we talked about, they had a presentation from Chariots, and they talked about the new buses and the Saturday service coming up, and look at the possibilities is one of the things they're talking about in Saturday's fairs. They have a free fare day, and that's all the Saturdays in September will be free for riders. So take advantage and take a ride. And then, of course, August 14th was the Kaiser Community Convention conversation. And then I got to go to the Traffic Safety Bike Ped Committee meeting, and Weston Carroll, some other parties involved expressed appreciation for the quick attention action taken by the Public Works Department in painting the curbs around the pool area. They wanted to express their appreciation, and they feel that it's made a difference. And again, for having that happen so quickly, they had big kudos for your department, Bill. And they've applied for another grant for Safe Routes to School. And on Sunday, August 25th, there's a 100-mile bike ride if you want to go and attend. It's called the Peach of a Ride. I'll be missing that, but I'm sorry. And then, what's that?
You can't attend?
I'll be missing that. 100 miles, you know, I look at my bike every once in a while and think, yeah, I probably had to get that out. And then Thursday, I attended the Volunteer Coordinating Committee, which I'm sure Mayor Pro Tem will talk a little bit about. 5 people applied for, well, one of the things that we've talked about, and 2 were accepted for that. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that shortly.
Perfect, thank you. I just have a little bit to add. I do want to echo everyone's comments about National Night Out. I liked that we had 3 parties to attend with neighbors, and I liked the extra time. I thought it was very beneficial to really be able to talk to our neighbors in different parts of the city, and Patty's there from West Kaiser. I attended there and was able to visit with Councilor Herrera and Shannon Johnson, so that was kind of nice. One day I think I'll be able to sit in my neighborhood and have one of these events. The Planning Commission was on August 14th. We did have a public hearing, and I just want to thank the committee for their work as well, and everyone that attended and testified at the Planning Commission. I did attend the Volunteer Coordinating Committee for Councilor Parsons, and again, we are very fortunate to have people that are applying for our committees, and they are, the recommendations will be forthcoming to council probably next month. But we do have still current openings that close Wednesday, October 9th. So Kaiser Points of Interest Committee, there are 2 vacancies. The Budget Committee, there are 2 vacancies. Parks Advisory Board, there are 4 vacancies. The Stormwater Advisory Committee, there is 1 vacancy. Traffic Safety, Bikeways, Pedestrian Committee, there are 2 vacancies, and we are always, again, looking for youth committee liaisons for the committees that are not served. Just a reminder about the Neighborhood Association meetings are off, and they're still not meeting in August, but they'll all resume in September. So that's West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, Gubser, and then the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood. Southeast Kaiser is the first Thursday. West Kaiser is the second Thursday, and Gubser is the third Thursday. And then, Councilor Reed, I had a little note to ask about school, just to see how the construction and would it be ready, but you already answered that question. And then Councilor Kohler, if I could you look at some times for us as council to participate in the community dinner, to volunteer?
Sure.
I think that would be nice as the council to be able to help either behind the food line or clearing tables.
Yeah, my question is, what do you want to do? And I'm sure I can make it happen.
We can probably just, you find something and we'll show up. Dishes.
I've got the dishes covered, but this next month, here in a couple of weeks, just this next week, I guess, the Boy Scouts are doing that. So if you wanted to come and help with that, that would be an easy one to help with.
Or do you want to plan it to make sure everyone can attend? Should we look out maybe for September or October?
Yeah, one of the challenges is we always seem to have other meetings going on at that same time. So we may have to just do some at a time, some of them.
Fourth Wednesday is usually pretty safe.
I know that I've had some where I've had to leave early to come to meetings and things, but
Yeah, so it'd be Wednesday, August 28th, if it's the fourth Wednesday, is that correct?
yes.
Yeah, okay. Or September 25th would be the next one. Okay, well, you'll just find us a time and you'll let us know.
I can do that.
I just think that would be nice for the council to,
Many
do that.
members of the council and mayor has been there different months, and I know your mother's attended, and And my neighbor across the street's attended, and it's just, there've been a lot of people that have said, gosh, this is really a neat thing to do. We average attendance somewhere between 300 to 400 people is where our average has been. And so we've served a lot of people over the years.
Okay. So it would be the next either September or October. And the food is always good.
Yes,
So, okay.
most of the time.
Well, my mom will tell me if it's not, but
Yes.
she usually always says
Well,
food is very good.
I will say the last 3 or 4 years that I've been working with this, there have been very few things that weren't really, really good. Very few things.
Perfect. Okay. So more to come. A date to be determined. Perfect. Thank you. This time is the time for other business. It's the time provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Tracy?
Nothing, thank you.
Tim?
Nothing here either.
Mr. Copeland?
Pretty boring, but nothing here either.
Excellent. Bill?
A little less boring, but not real exciting. Just an update on the paving of River Road. The paving process is done. They're now raising manholes back to the pavement grade, so the work that's going on there should be done in the next couple weeks, and then we'll be finished with that project. Have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock for the shade cell project out at the Big Toy to go over our expectations with the contractors and their expectations with us, and we'll get our start date probably tomorrow, find out when they're gonna get started. They can't start till after Labor Day, but we'll get a good idea when they want to get going. And then the other update is on the 14th and Lock Haven project. That is on schedule to be complete before school opens. That's it.
Excellent.
Questions for Bill? I just want to say thank you. The streets River Road looks amazing, and they were on schedule, and it just turned out really nice. So
Thank you. I'll share that with my staff
Must
that
be
were
a
out there
great
with them.
slave driver.
Mr. Brown?
So just a couple of things. As you know, the recommendation from the Planning Commission for the revitalization project is a favorable recommendation. We've got to figure out how to bring that to you. We want to make sure that that is, because it is such a large project, we want to make sure that that is something that is comprehensible and that you can all understand exactly what it contains, that sort of thing. So we are working with our consultants. They will be making the presentation to the council, but we want to make sure that we cover all of the questions. So coupled with that, we have received a letter from the Housing Advocacy, I forget their actual name now, but that is basically warning everybody to make sure that their findings for Goal 10 housing is adequate, and they are an aggressive watchdog group that wants to make sure that we are doing things right for providing affordable housing for all categories of our citizens, et cetera. Coupled with that is our buildable lands inventory and housing needs analysis. As you know, we've completed that project, but we have not yet brought that to you because of case law that says when your BLI HNA demonstrates a deficit, then you cannot proceed with adopting the report until you include how you are addressing those issues. So other jurisdictions have had some action on it, and we are trying to package up a plan of action for you, and that will be coming to you in the near future as well. So none of this is easy, and it's going to take some time to digest all of this material, but we will try to help you the best we possibly can.
Mr. Johnson?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I do not have any written communications to share with you. Agenda input. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 3rd, and that's due to the Labor Day holiday, 7 p.m. City Council regular session. As you heard from Matt Lawyer, our next meeting for a work session is September 9th at 6 p.m., which is our City Council work session. It's our annual work session to visit the parks predetermined by the Parks Board, and anyone is welcome to join that. Matt did say we'll meet at Claggett, but we'll make sure that that is communicated with staff, but I'm sure that's what's on the plan. And then the next meeting after that is September 16th, 7 p.m. Regular session for City Council. Any other announcements to share? Councilor Herrera.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. One quick announcement. Lake Point Community Church, which does a lot of really good stuff, and I almost forgot about this, Tom Fox, Pastor Tom Fox, who former Mary quarterback. They do a great job every year in Surf Fest, and this year they're going to be over at Claggett. It used to be here, and I'm just going to read this real quick. Surf Fest, an annual free event that reaches out to meet practical needs of the community. This year's event will be held at Claggett Creek Middle School from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and will feature a carnival, raffle, lunch, clothing for entire family, school supplies, pet care, vision, hearing, screening, cuts, haircuts for kids and manicures. So it's a great event, and if you haven't participated or been there, check it out. And I hope to be there, and it's awesome. Thank you very much.
Date again? Date?
This is the 25th, Sunday. It's on a Sunday, so it'll be this Sunday. Yeah.
And I would echo that. If I've attended when it's been here at City Hall, and it is amazing for everyone that attends, and I think it's just as fun for the people that volunteer as well. Final announcements before I adjourn? Okay, we will adjourn, and it is 8:07. Thank you.